They were afraid of the Adriamycin in my body, that you could have a heart event. And any doctor that we visited who works with Herceptin, and we went several places, they told us, no, we're not going to give you Herceptin.
The final analysis was that nobody would support giving Denise Herceptin at that stage. And there was a trial going on. There was 2 trials in the United States and 1 international trial called the HERA trial. In May of 2005, at the ASCO convention, it was finally announced that the data was maturing to the point where they're going to release it to the public.
Instead of having a 2 to 6% improvement, there was a 50% improvement in outcome.
There was never in the history of any cancer treatment such a reduction in risk by any other product. On top of it, it's not a chemotherapy. Using Herceptin is a targeted therapy. It's genetic. If you exhibit the trait, it will have benefit for you.
The trial ended because they said, why only give Herceptin to these women who are so sick? They said, why not give it to all these girls like myself who are not metastatic, and give them Herceptin and allow them to benefit and hopefully never have cancer rear its ugly head again.
Denise got Herceptin literally within 2 days after the trial results came out.
I feel like I was probably the first girl on Herceptin. I think I was on Herceptin on May 28, 2005.
We traveled. She would take Herceptin, get it in 1-hour infusion, and off we would go. It worked perfectly.
There's hardly any side effects to it. It's a fabulous drug, and hopefully, you know, I'll be clean and free for the rest of my life. Thank you.
It's very gratifying. I mean, as gratifying as the HER2 story has been, and it has been, and it's gratifying to watch that disease turn around and make sort of a 180-degree turnaround. To realize that we can apply that same lesson, not necessarily the same drug or the same pathway, but the same lesson on how we found that, to the other major killers, and really begin to understand how we're going to impact them in a more meaningful way. It's just an incredible thing to have happen here.
It's really an interesting concept. And when you see Dennis Slamon and his translational lab and the cadre of brilliant, young, energetic scientists, and you ask them what they need, and really all they need is a few dollars. And they don't need billions and billions.
When we did the HER2 story, no one believed this would work. We did not have federal funding for it. We applied, and they said this will never work. Industry did not get behind it because they thought it would never work. And it was private funding that made the HER2 story work and led ultimately to the initial insights that told us that this was a pathway to go after.
The medical establishment said, no, that's not how it's done. It will not work. Well, the results they have were bigger than anything that's ever been produced in cancer research.
I think the approach is right. I think the payoffs are going to be even bigger as we continue to exploit it because the technology's even gotten better than what we had 20 years ago.
I feel very confident that the results coming out of the translational lab will shake the world. It's just a matter of time. And the faster we put some assets, time, and money into these folks, the faster we're going to get a payback.
Every year there are over 40,000 women in America just like Denise who are diagnosed with HER2-positive breast cancer. For these women, Herceptin has been a literal lifesaver. This revolutionary development in the war on cancer has just been featured in a Lifetime movie starring Harry Connick Jr. as Dr. Dennis Slamon.
Your response to the Herceptin is more successful than I ever thought possible. It not only stopped your tumor from growing, Barbara, it made it disappear.
My tumor's gone?
Your tumor's gone.
This is the first time I've ever played a real person. And yeah, I did approach it differently, probably with more reverence and respect than I've done for any other role. You know, I mean, the guy's still young. You know, he's 60 and he's in great health, and he's still such a big part of the cancer research community. You have to look at it in a different way. And then on the other hand, not having spent much time with him at all, you sort of have to take what you think is the essence of sort of what makes him tick and then move on and try to do it as respectfully as you can.
You're looking at the nuclei of the cancer cells that contain the DNA?
You know, the expression, well, you're not curing cancer. I mean, he really is
looking for a cure, or at least a treatment and a different way of thinking about it. And it really made me realize, you know, how deeply passionate he is about this, because it comes first in his life. If we can learn how to shut the bad cells off, that will lead us to a cure.
You think of the sacrifices that he made to save people's lives when, you know, and it wasn't his personal quest for himself either. It wasn't like, you know, he was trying to cure it for himself.
The more awareness that's brought about because of things like what we're doing goes directly into the money that people like Danny Slamon need to raise money for this. And I think it shifts from being a question of if to a question of when they really are going to find a way to treat this disease and hopefully cure it.
You can see one of those very thin slices of the tissue has been mounted on this glass slide. This will then get stained, and we can study it and look at it.
I didn't even know what Herceptin was before I got involved in this project, and you know, the magnitude of its success is something that I think can't be stated enough.